What if community could cure your greatest hunger? What if this feeling of fellowship, of like-mindedness, of support and encouragement around a shared set of common beliefs, attitudes, interests, and goals was exactly what you needed to not only unlock the starvation inside you, but ultimately to achieve every single thing that you want in business and in life? Men, you are in for a treat today in part 5 of the 7-part series that I have titled The Unstarved Man. And again, ladies, don't check out because there are men in your life that need this type of support and encouragement, and they may not be listening, but you can on their behalf, and you can share with them. So the whole point and premise of this podcast series was to help you understand that there is a starvation going on inside of most men today. They don't know how to address or understand or deal with the emotions, their mental health, the things that they think and feel and don't understand. They don't know how to deal with them. They don't know how to work with them. And ultimately, they don't know how to unlock them and use them to achieve everything that they desire in life. And so we have worked through a series of topics which have been getting incredible feedback. We started off in episode 1 of this series, part 1 of this series, on just unmasking emotional starvation, addressing what that was. And so if you haven't heard that episode, I would encourage you to actually hit pause and go back and listen to that episode first so you know what I'm talking about when I say emotional starvation and becoming unstarved. In the second part, we talked about society's silence and this role of norms in culture and society that hinder men's ability to tap into and understand these things. Part 3, we talked about vulnerability and breaking the cycle of emotional starvation by becoming more vulnerable. So important. We got incredible feedback on that episode. In the last episode, just this last week, I talked about the ties that heal and the power of strong male friendship. And so you may be saying to yourself, Ryan, why are you then talking today about community if last week you talked about relationships and male friendship? Because they aren't necessarily the same thing. And on top of that, what I want to do today is I want to help you understand how to seek out and build strong community for yourself. Find other like-minded individuals that can build you up. Preferably, in this context, other men that are like-minded, though it doesn't completely have to be that way. But that's the context I'm going to share today. So let me kick off this episode. I want to talk specifically, or I want to share a term here because I think that it's important that we understand community and what I mean when I say community, because sometimes, or that can mean a lot of different things. That can mean that we all live in a community together, and that is in fact true. I live in a community with a couple 100,000 other people. Maybe inside of that, I live in a community, which is my neighborhood, with a couple dozen people. And so that's one sense of community. And that's often geographic, location based. But what I'm talking about here today is something far deeper. This is that sense of fellowship. That is that feeling of belonging. And that often happens around common attitudes, interests, goals, ideals, beliefs, things of that nature. So when I'm talking about community today, that's what I'm talking about. And if you listened last week, I talked a lot about the importance of like-minded male friendships. And today we're going to expand on that as we talk about like-minded community. And I'm going to share with you 3 specific areas that I have found just very powerful community of like-minded men and how that's transformed my life. So I'll share some story when I get to that part. So community, that like-mindedness, that fellowship, that support, that encouragement. But this isn't all about simply accepting each other for the way we are. I want to also be really clear about that. We want our communities to be welcoming, meaning we want to welcome other people in if they differ, if they're not in the same place we are. But the most powerful communities all have a shared common goal and often share ideology, and beliefs and values. Those things are going to be really important for you. So we can welcome people in from all different beliefs and backgrounds, but ultimately we're trying to get down one path. And that's not because we're trying to exclude, but because we're trying to hone in on the things that are going to be most valuable to us as we learn, grow, and get better. And I'm actually going to share in one of my examples of community in just a little bit how I found a like-minded community that ended up not getting me to where I wanted to go once I got to a specific point in my life. So that will make more sense. So it started off totally aligned, and then it became misaligned over time, and I had to make a decision to do something different. I also want to say again, as I did in the last episode, that, this is nothing new. Our desire for community is not something that is just made up now. It's not because we didn't have it during the pandemic. It's because we were created. We were created to be in community. We were created socially. God said in the beginning, when he created man, that it was not good for man to be alone. That is not just about marriage, though it does point to God's good and perfect design and creation for marriage. But that's not exclusive. He's also talking about the fact that men were created for community. Men and women were created to be with one another, to build one another up, to encourage one another, to love one another, to support one another, to hold one another accountable. So we were created to be in community with others, to be in fellowship with others, to share in all of these wonderful things that we have been given in life with one another. This is not just biblical, this is also psychological. There have been, I'm sure, millions at this point, but so many, numerous studies on the psychological impacts of being in community and being in healthy community. So I just want to share a couple of things that I found, just some numbers and a couple of ideas here as I was doing some research for this specific episode. So there was an analysis done of 148 studies. So a meta-analysis, 148 studies were all collectively looked at that included over 300,000 total participants. And that in that study, they found that individuals with strong social relationships, so this is communal, this is fellowship-like, relationships like that, they were 50% more likely to survive over a given period of time than those with weaker connections. So individuals with strong relationships were 50% more likely to thrive, to grow, to survive in life over a given period of time than those with weaker connections. On top of that, part of that survival is our journeys to overcome obstacles, our journeys to succeed. So this isn't just about life or death survival, but one of the things that it saw is things like health benefits. So when you are socially tied to others that don't smoke, when you desire to quit smoking, you're going to have a lot greater chance of succeeding in quitting smoking. If you are trying to get in shape, when you fellowship with and gather together with other like-minded individuals that are also trying to or are in shape, you are far more apt to get in shape. I mean, I was at a pool at a very well-known a Southern California getaway this last weekend, and it was fascinating to see this play out, just the physicality of it all. Friend groups that were together, you could see that friend groups with people in shape, typically most of those people were in pretty good physical shape. Friend groups where the majority weren't, you could tell, right? They gathered together. Families, it's not genetic. Yes, there's some genetic disposition to how you look, but ultimately this idea of gaining or losing weight is about calories in and calories out, burning calories, taking calories in. And so you can see in family, it's typically, or you can see how when you're surrounded by other like-minded individuals, you will follow along. And so you are going to thrive in environments with people that are like-minded in their journeys to success as well. There was data around stress reduction, coping with challenges, and how people in community and in shared fellowship, deep community were far more apt to deal better with stress, to cope in healthy ways with the struggles that they were dealing with in their own lives. So super duper important. I know firsthand, and my wife and I were just talking about this yesterday, the fact that we had each other and then we had a strong network around us led us to heal much more quickly and much better than many of our other peers did on the back end of surviving the Route 91 mass shooting. And so again, like when you're around strong social connection, shared common values, attitudes, and interests, you have a far greater chance of succeeding, of overcoming, of surviving and thriving. This is huge with mental health. You will notice that those, and this is not an ultimate, but those people that are typically thriving on their mental health journey, even if they have struggles with mental health, but overall they're thriving in their mental health journey, are those that are surrounded by others that are thriving in their mental health journey. So the data psychologically shows over and over and over again the benefits of being in community, of being in strong, healthy community with others. One other thing that the Bible says too, just to kind of cap off this first part here, and just as I talk kind of about the role of community and how that provides support for us, the Bible says in Galatians 6 that we are to bear one another's burdens. And I think, and that men, I'm talking specifically to you, you have a terrible tendency to try and shoulder it all yourself. I have a terrible tendency to try and shoulder things myself. And that has gotten me into far more trouble than I care to admit. More stress, more anxiety, more failure, more frustration, more lashing out, more reverting back to bad behavior because I try to bear too much. And yet the Bible says we are to bear one another's burdens. But that means I have to have a one another in my life in order to share that burden with. And I can do that with my wife, but I also want to do that with other strong, like-minded men that share in values, that are seeking the same goals, that have the same vision for their life. So again, it's incredibly important and beneficial that we are surrounding ourselves with community that's going to provide us the emotional, spiritual, physical support that we need. So critical. And again, like this stuff, I've heard from a couple of people like, man, why are you talking so much about this touchy-feely stuff? It's because you won't. It's because people won't. It's because men won't. And yet this is some of the stuff that we're struggling with the most. I was talking to a client today, and he kept kind of glazing over the fact that it was past hurt that was hindering from going out and building his business. Fear of rejection, fear of failure. I feel the same way myself a lot. The mistakes of the past, the failures of the past come back to haunt. And if you don't have strong people around you to build you up and lift you up and help you see the truth, you are screwed. So though it feels touchy-feely, this is the real stuff that's going to help you to practically succeed in life and in business. So I want to share with you 3 examples specifically of strong, like-minded community and kind of the places that I was in as I was on this journey. So 2 of these actually happened really close to one another. So the first one was in 2020. As we all know, we were all in the midst of a lot of struggle. We were separated from people. We were finding ourselves more isolated and working on things on our own, though I was trying to buck that trend as often as I could and be around people because I need that. But we were more isolated. And I was trying to build a specific program for my coaching business, and I was just really struggling. And I'd hit a plateau in my business. 2018 was my best financial year ever in business. 19 surpassed that. And I was concerned in 2020 that I had hit this plateau and I didn't know what I was going to do. And so by the grace of God, he put a man into my life that I'd been a friend with. And one day he just asked, like, hey, have you ever considered joining this mastermind that I'm in? And I'm like, well, no, you've talked about it so much, but I was waiting for an invitation. And he said, gosh, I was waiting for you to ask to be invited. And it's like, God, typical men, right? We can't just come out and say what we mean. You try to blame that on women, that's a man's problem. Men will keep these things in when they're struggling, when there's some potential when there's a potential to be seen as weak. I think that we will hide a lot of this stuff. And so that's what we did. We were both kind of just holding back. I was holding back. And so I jumped at the first opportunity. I met with the founder of the mastermind. There's about 150 or so guys in that mastermind. He was leading the whole thing. And we had a conversation. I'm like, I am in. I signed up right away. And it was founded on Christian principle. The majority of the men were Christian. They had a like-minded desire to honor their family, to model Christ in the community, to steward their finances well, and to grow their businesses. And I quickly found a home there. The 10 guys that I was, 9 or 10 guys that I was paired up with, or that I was grouped with into the smaller mastermind, we met weekly. And I cannot tell you how incredibly beneficial that was. Our weekly virtual Zoom calls, incredibly beneficial. Twice a year, I was flying to Nashville, and I did that all the way through the end of 2022. And it was just incredible. 2020, 2021, 2022, being in that rhythm with those men was incredibly beneficial to my life. Times I would show up just crying because I was struggling so bad in life or in business, mental health issues that I was having, anxious moments, feeling too overburdened, struggles with my business. There were just so many things that those guys were incredibly helpful for. And all of them, but especially a few of them in there, I will consider lifelong brothers. Just dear friends. We still text and talk on a regular basis now, even though I haven't been a part of that community specifically for almost 2 years now. But they were incredibly profound in my life. They showed me so many things about myself that I needed to see. They just helped redirect me and fix my eyes on Jesus and honor my wife in all of my decisions. And it was so powerful, so powerful. Well, as that was happening, so that was early in 2020, maybe mid 2020, May or June. And at the end of 2020, I found myself in a new church after stepping down from ministry, which I've shared before. I was a pastor of a church from 2012 to 2020, stepped down in November of 2020, found myself in a new church. And as we turned to 2021, I was invited into a men's group with, at that time, there was about 14 or 15 men, various ages and life stages. The youngest guy was 14. The oldest guy was 80. And I quickly found a home. I found the space to be me, to be open and transparent about my transition out of ministry and into just regular church life, about the hurts that I was experiencing, but about things that I was struggling with in my business and in my life. And those guys were there to pray for me, to support me. I loved, like, there's a couple guys specifically that, so I've been in that men's group now going on, this is my 4th year. Same group of guys. We've added quite a few. A few have dropped off just as life has changed. Rhythms of life have changed for them. But again, meeting weekly, 6:30 in the morning, every single Wednesday. We'll meet 45 or 46 weeks a year with a few weeks off for holidays and breaks. And it was a space that I look forward to. I'm recording this on a Tuesday afternoon, and I cannot wait to go to men's group tomorrow morning. We go through books. We go through books of the Bible. Sometimes we just pray and talk with one another. But man, those guys have always given me the space to be me, to share my heart with them about things that I see in their lives, to pour their heart into me about things that they see in my life. Just challenging one another to grow and to learn and to become the men that God has created us to be. It has been profound to be a part of that community. And then the last one, so that larger men's group or men's mastermind that I was a part of, I was starting to find that needs were shifting for me, particularly because my men's group was so solid in biblical foundation. They were walking with me a lot in personal journey. I still wanted that in a mastermind, but I needed to focus more specifically on business. And so with 4 other friends, we formed our own mastermind called the Founders Collective, and we started meeting together about a year ago. And that has been transformational for my business and my life. Those guys have poured into me. All 4 of the guys that are a part of the founding group are successful. They are kind and gracious. They are providers and protectors to their spouses and their families. They're incredible men. They're good friends. And I just found commonality with them. And most importantly, for the need I had, they were all on the entrepreneurial journey, building their own businesses. And I needed that. And so again, I took these common attitudes, interests, and even goals, and then I paired that with this very specific need I had in my life, which was to scale my business to the next level, which we're working on right now and having some incredible fun doing it. Lots of challenges, but incredible fun doing it. And those guys have been key to that. And I think that from all 3 of those examples, you'll hear that it was fellowship, that there was commonality, there was like-mindedness, there were shared values and goals. We're all after the same greater prize. Glorify God, honor our family, build our businesses. We're all building separate businesses. In my men's group, most of us have different types of lives, but we're all after the same greater vision of those 3 things. And that's something that men need and most men don't have. If you remember in my last episode, less than 10% of men have a close friend. Or maybe it was 15%. You can go back and fact check. I should have done that. But it's devastating. So if you don't even have one close friend, how do you have community? Now you may say, well, I have a group of buddies at the gym, or I have this group of guys that I go riding with, or I have this group of guys that, but are you going deep into each other's lives? Are you unpacking the greatest challenges? Are you constantly pushing each other to achieve the greatest goals? Are you holding each other accountable to the things that you say and you do? Are you doing life in a way that honors the Lord, that honors your family, that honors yourself? Chances are no. And I know that to be the case because I talk to dozens of guys a month that are not in communities like this, that have asked to join into the greater Founders Collective community that now my mastermind has extended to other men, to welcome them in, to give them common space with like-minded men, shared vision and shared goals. I know this is not happening enough. And yet this is what we are dying for. This is why we are so starved as men. This is one of the greatest reasons, is because we don't have the space, the comfortable, safe, common space to process, and we don't have the community that will help us to get better. We are struggling and we need to admit that. So the question then should be, how can you find this for yourself? Well, for you men that are Christian, you best be in a church, because I believe that's a command from the Lord. And I would hope that your church is providing this space through their men's ministry. And if not, create it. Go to your pastor, one of the pastors, go to one of the leaders and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And if there isn't space for this yet, I would love to create it. I would love to put together a rhythm of guys from the church getting together on a monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever basis to share in common ideas, visions, interests, goals. We'll go through the Bible. We'll go through some books. Maybe we need the approval of the church so it aligns with the values and vision of the church, the beliefs of the church, which is totally okay. So maybe you need to do something like that. Go to your church. Reach out to other friends. Use social media to start asking the question, hey, who else wants to hang out? Anyone want to get together? I haven't done this in quite a few months, and I'm getting ready to start this back up again. But I was doing a regular-ish gathering of men, local to me here in SoCal, around bourbon and cigars. And I'm not drinking now, so the bourbon wouldn't be a thing for me, but I don't mind if people come hang out and have bourbon and cigars still, but I'm going to smoke cigars. And I would get 20, 25, 30 guys that would come together in an afternoon from different walks of life. Some guys I was inviting from my gym, others from my business community, others from church, others from the neighborhood, and just come hang out. And at first, the fear is, man, what are some of these people going to talk about? Because they would click up, right? And so they would just talk about the gym guys about the gym, business guys about business. But little by little, you would see cross-pollination start, cross-contamination start. And you'd start seeing people talking more, building relationships, sharing a drink together, sharing cigars together, just having conversation. Because by and large, though they're not working on the exact same things, they're all striving for the same ideas. And they knew that because I invited them. And I'm inviting people that are somewhat like-minded to me. And so they assume that the people that are there are somewhat like-minded to them. This is what men were striving for. So this is what I wanted to create. And so you can do the same thing. If you are in Southern California, if you are in Orange County, California specifically, and you want to do this here, hit me up. We're getting ready to do it again. I'm planning for one now. Probably early July, late June, early July. And then I hope to do one at least once a month for the remainder of the year. Hang out, play some pool, have a cigar. If you want to have some bourbon, go ahead and do that. And just hang out. Build one another up. We need community, but oftentimes we have to create it. I would say too, look to your business community. This is another one that I didn't share on this episode. I've talked about this before, but I'm getting 12 guys together from an industry that I serve to do a retreat in August in Scottsdale, Arizona. And though we're all from the same business industry, or we serve the same business industry, the majority of the time is going to be spent on personal development. How to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to be a better man, how to have better habits and disciplines, how to be in better shape. Though we come from the same industry, we're all ultimately trying to achieve greater things than that, more deep and personal things than that. And when I sent that invitation out, that I had 11 spots, because I'm the 12th, I had 11 spots. I had 10 guys respond back within 24 hours that they were in. 10 of the 11 spots were filled in 24 hours. That's how desperately men are looking for community. Like-minded, shared interests, shared attitude, shared values, shared goals, shared dreams, shared hopes, shared desires. And you as a man right now, I can almost guarantee you are looking for it too if you don't already have it. As a matter of fact, I'll say this. If you don't have it, I guarantee you're looking for it, even if you don't think you're looking for it right now. That emptiness, that gap that you feel in your life is the result, in part, because of this. You struggling to deal with your own mental health and well-being, your own spiritual health, your own emotional health is because of an absence of this. So seek it out. Create it if you can't find it. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change. If there's no community that exists, create it. It's going to start out, maybe one other guy, two other guys are going to hang out, and you have no idea where that goes. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen for you, and it needs to happen for other people. Take initiative. That's what men do. They step up. They take responsibility for themselves and for other people. You may be exactly what other people have been waiting for, and you don't even know it yet. So as I land the plane here, talking about this need for community, this importance of community, not just because of our emotional starvation, but for our greater good. I just want to reiterate that this is a necessity in our lives. You cannot do this alone. You cannot do life successfully alone. You need other men. You need a strong fellowship of other like-minded men. Similar vision, similar goals, similar dreams. But my question to you is this. Hopefully, I've made a case for the fact that you need this. And if there's even a small part of you that says, you know what, Ryan, I do. I need this. This is something that I need. Do something about it. Will you do something about it? Ladies, if you have listened now to episode or part 5 of this 7-part series and you are still here, I want to encourage you, and I know it is hard sometimes to get through to your husbands, just like it's hard for your husbands to get through to your wives sometimes, right? We don't always listen well to each other when it comes to encouraging each other to change and grow and develop. But ladies, to your spouses, I would encourage you to push them to find community. Ask them. You don't want them spending time with the guys that are tearing them down by way of the things they say, what they believe, what they do. You want them around men. You want them in fellowship with other men that are building them up, that are making them better. It's to your benefit, but ultimately it's to theirs. And I know that's what you want. So encourage them, challenge them to become better. It's fascinating to me how so many men are willing to get into to groups, to get training, coaching, to build bigger businesses. But it's very narrow. Rarely do men get into community to build better selves. And men, I'm telling you right now, a better self will build a better business. I cannot tell you the number of entrepreneurs that I come across that have plateaued or are struggling in business only to finally realize that it's something internal that's hindering their ability to succeed. It's not that they can't get enough clients. It's not that they can't convert enough deals. It's not that their marketing sucks. It's not that they need a bigger budget to do something. It's that they are in their own way. You are very likely to be in your own way. So again, what are you going to do about it? I want to invite you to check out our Founders Collective community. It's an incredible space. It is being built slowly but intentionally to provide a space where men can come together. We have a weekly community call where we're throwing our stuff in and we're collaborating, masterminding, and talking around challenges and issues that we're all facing. We have a social platform through school, which is a fantastic private social platform, sharing discussion, needs, opportunities, ideas, encouragement. Check that out. Links in the description, links in the show notes. You can definitely find that there. If you need something more than that, reach out to me. I want to be here to support you. I want to be here to walk with you through this journey. And I've experienced it. I get it. I know what you're dealing with, and I can help you. In our next episode, I'm going to be talking about overcoming emotional starvation. And one of my favorite topics in all of that is building emotional resilience. This isn't about negating the fact that challenges don't arise, that the demons don't live in our heads at times. This is about building the resilience to forge through when it happens. So I cannot wait to share part 6 with you. But for now, make sure that you are caught up on parts 1 through 5, this being part 5. Thank you guys much for your support. Like and subscribe to wherever you're watching. Make sure you are doing so and share it with a friend. This good word needs to be spread. Until next time, I pray that you continue to unlock the greatness that you were created for. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon.